So I'm in Norfolk, Virginia, and this is considered the second most dangerous city in the state of Virginia. It's also home to the largest naval base, not only in the United States, but in the world. They say the naval base here is the largest in the world. Hopefully that's still true. Population here is 228,000, and it's declining quickly. They're losing a lot of their population here, and it's not just from 2020. It started even before that. The average home value here is $216,000, and the median rent price is around $1,100. There's a 43% home ownership rate, which is 32% lower than the US average. So not a lot of people are owning their homes in Norfolk. It's 42% white, 38% black, 9% Hispanic, and 4% Asian. So it's fairly diverse. And the average age is 32, which is a little young, and that could be because of the naval base that their average age is so low. There's 15% seniors, which is also really low for a city to only have 15% of their adults be senior citizens. And I'm not sure what age they're using when they say seniors. I'm not sure what age they're using, if they're saying over 55, over 62, or what the criteria is for that, but it's not necessarily the cleanest looking. There's a lot of garbage. And so far what we've seen is kind of a little more on the run down looking side. But we'll see what happens as we get a little further into the city. The average income here is $43,000 a year, and there's a 17% poverty rate, which is actually for a bad city. There's a bunch of graffiti there, but that's not too bad just being in that one spot. 17% poverty rate is, I mean, it's a big number, but it's not really all that high when you compare it to other comparable cities. It's actually probably on the lower side. And they have a 36% marriage rate, which is also kind of low, but again, that could be, if they're counting all the people that live in the naval bases as people that live here, that could just be because they're, you know, maybe they're not married, their wives aren't here or whatever. 49% of the people that live here were born in Norfolk. That's actually really low, so that shows a lot of people moving out and a lot of people that weren't born here moving in. 93% though of the people that live here are native-born citizens, people that were born in America, and they're showing just a 4% non-citizen rate, which I don't know when that number. Sometimes these numbers come out, and they're from like 2 years ago, but they're just releasing them now, and so I don't know if the non-citizen rate really is as low as 4% still. But it doesn't seem like a place that a lot of foreigners tend to go to for whatever reason. But I mean, this part that we're in right here doesn't look too bad. That first part had a lot of garbage and, you know, looked a little run down, but this looks okay what we're going into now. So pre-2020, they had 30 to 40 homicides a year. Since 2020, they've had 50 to in the 60s. So they, in some cases, doubled the number of homicides since 2020. Their murder rates were pre-2020 were in the mid-teens to mid-20s, or they were in the mid-teens and they jumped to the mid-20s after 2020. So a murder rate around 10 is what I would consider regular city bad. That's a number that you would expect to see in any city. You expect a certain amount of crime. You expect a certain amount of violence. If you live in the city limits of a city, there's a certain level that you just gotta kind of accept. And I would say a murder rate of 10, my personal opinion, would be the kind of that's what you would expect to see. So in the mid-teens, you know, they're coming in with 16, 17 as a murder rate. It's higher than regular city, but still something you can deal with. And since 2020, the murder rate's been like 26 to 27, which the murder rates are based on the number of murders per 100,000 people. Using that criteria, not the number, but using that criteria based on the population, the murder rate of 26 to 27 is higher than the murder rate in Chicago. Chicago's murder rate is typically every year, it sits right in around that 22, you know, in around that range. So the murder rate here, even though the number of murders is smaller, the murder rate is higher than Chicago. And I know people will make comments and say, oh, the murder rate there is, or the murders there aren't as bad as Chicago. Statistically, it is. The assault rates pre-2020, the assault rates here were always high. Pre-2020, they were in the 700s to 900s. And that's, again, on the per 100,000 people. 900, little over 900 is about what you get out of Baltimore. So pre-2020, they were a little better than what you would see in Baltimore. Since 2020, the number has been 1,100 to 1,400. So worse than Baltimore. I think Detroit's about 1,600. So worse than Baltimore, but better than Detroit is what their assault rate is here since the summer of Floyd 2020. Their violent crime is listed at 90% above the national average, which lands in that regular city bad level, which with those other statistics, I'm not exactly sure how that's even possible, that it's only 90% worse, but it's possible, you know, aggravated assaults or something is, some other stat must be really low that's balancing that out to getting that down to the only 90% worse. And the property crime here is 149% worse than the national average. So that's still, I mean, again, you'd be in the 80 to 100,000 is pretty much regular city. 80 to 100% worse than the national average. You'd expect that level in just city limits. And 149% higher for the property crime. That starts getting you up there where it's getting up there. So your odds of becoming a victim of a violent crime here, or of any crime here, is 1 in 18. I'm gonna get out of this lane. Oh, downtown tunnel. Let's go through that actually. Tunnel. Thank you for letting me over. We got a Florida plate in front of us. Yeah, we'll go through the downtown tunnel and see what that is. So your odds of becoming a victim of any crime is 1 in 18. That's fairly typical. I wouldn't say it's overly bad and I wouldn't say it's overly good. What is this doing? This said downtown tunnel. Oh, it's a toll too. I don't want to get on that. Wonder if I can get back. Yeah, I can get back on. All right, I don't want to go through a toll road just to see the tunnel into downtown. Maybe we'll try and go straight here. Just see what up this way a little bit. So the this is where things get like bad for the city. The year-over-year crime showed an increase of 42%. Now think about that. That's huge. 42%. A city that gets, I mean, even a 15% increase in 1 year is high. So 42% increase is really high. And if they do that for more than 1 or 2 years, things are out of control really fast here. That's not a number that's sustainable even for 1 year. That's not sustainable. MacArthur Center. Huh. I don't know what that is. Yeah, we'll get, we're getting kind of into the downtown now. We can check out the downtown a little bit. The good thing about Norfolk is that it is in the state of Virginia. And as far as schooling goes, Virginia is one of the better states in the United States as far as graduating students proficient at reading and math. One of the better ones in the entire United States. 79% of the students in the state of Virginia graduate proficient at reading and math. That is a huge number. Only 48% across the board in the United States, on average, 48%. Less than half of the kids that graduate high school in America cannot read or write at a 12th grade, or read or do math at a 12th grade level. That's where we are in America. However, Virginia is really good. 79% of their students graduate that way. It's still, I mean, one would think it would be, you know, in the 90s, at least in the 80s, the upper 80s. And it's not. But 79, for the way things are in America right now, 79 is a really good number. And in the city of Norfolk, oh, yeah, there's a train coming through. In the city of Norfolk, 68% graduate proficient at reading and math. And that's also a really good number. So the state and the city do really good with teaching their children at least, you know, the basics of reading and math. 84% of the people that live here completed the 8th grade, and 83% graduated high school. So those are typical numbers as well. You know, you'd like to think, and people that don't pay attention to this stuff, they really have no idea. But you would like to think that in America, 90 to 95% of the students would graduate high school. And of the ones that graduate, 90 to 95% are proficient at reading and math. And by proficient, it's just being at grade level. Being at a 12th grade level when you graduate high school for reading and math. These are basic things that have gotten lost over the years. The teachers start with that new math that nobody can figure out how to do it. And instead of just teaching them that 2 + 2 = 4, they got some weird formula the kid has to learn that, you know, is way too difficult, even for a lot of adults. But they're not teaching the kids in school. And when the kids are graduating and they don't have the skills or the knowledge or the ability to get a good job, when they don't even have the ability to get entry-level jobs like McDonald's or, you know, working as a, you know, a waitress or something somewhere, if they don't have those basic abilities, they can't count back change. There's no hope for the city going forward. So this, even though they had that huge crime increase, there's still hope. The city is, the kids at least coming out of school, there's a good chunk of them that are coming out smart enough to get a job, but they're probably the ones that are moving out as well. And they're not the ones that are staying here. Because not a huge amount of the population, I'll go this way, not a huge amount of the population that's born here stays here. They move on to bigger and better things. There's a decent amount of cars though in their downtown, which since the COVID lockdowns, people learned that they could work from home. The downtowns in a lot of cities aren't as busy as they used to be. Now I have no idea how busy this used to be. I was here once when I was like, I don't know, 18 or 19 years old. I dated this dude that his brother was in the Navy, and we came over here to visit him one time, but I didn't go to, and none of this looks familiar, so I don't know what part of Norfolk we were in, but we were probably over more by just where the naval base is. But I mean, it's a relatively clean city. The streets are good. Not a ton of graffiti, although I did see a little bit, but that's what you'd expect in a city, nothing bad. But it's the second most dangerous city in Virginia, but I think, I'm not sure where Virginia ranks as far as the, you know, as far as the states go, as far as most dangerous state in America. But I have to imagine that it's not, it's in the bottom half. It's not close to the most dangerous. It's in the bottom half, I'd have to imagine. I'll look that up and I'll leave that in the comments. Or in the, yeah, in the comments. But it's a halfway decent city. And so far I haven't seen anything that makes it look horribly bad. But we're probably not in the area of town that, you know, makes their crime numbers go up. So we're gonna drive, I'll let this roll out just a little bit longer, and thanks for watching. Oh, there's 24 seconds on the cross thing. All right, I'm just gonna cut it out here. Thanks for watching.